Welcome to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we discuss the history, facts, people, places, events, lots more surrounding Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Myself, Mr. Dennis Simpson, Mr. Randy Cantrell, and the lovely Miss Jennifer Allen joining us today. You talk about an interesting story. I don't know that I know anybody else that has a more interesting story than Jennifer Allen. How does a girl, if I'm not mistaken, from Malvern, Arkansas, or around this area at least, become a newspaper owner? How do you do that? And this is the Hot Springs Village Voice we're talking about.
Yes. So kind of a long story, but basically, I have been serving here in the village with Hot Springs Village Voice for the past 14 years. It has gone through several transitions from being locally owned by the Richardsons to being owned by Stevens Media, then to Gatehouse Media, and then Gatehouse bought Gannett, but they took on the Gannett name because it's kind of synonymous with the USA Today network. Mm-hmm. So they took that on. During the course of Gannett, they also took on the Gannett business model, which really changed everything for our newspaper groups. And so they're really focused on their business models, really focused on the big metro markets, and the community markets don't necessarily fit in. So what they did was, as changing everything in all of the systems and all of the departments, they actually, my position as publisher was eliminated because they were doing things regionally with each department. And so one day I was told at the end of August, it was a Thursday, I was told that my last day was going to be October 1st. And then the very next day I get a phone call asking me, would you be interested in purchasing the Village Voice? And so,
by the way, you're fired, but we'd like to know if you want to buy your job back.
Yes. So it kind of started that way. It went through lots of planning. I had to do lots of homework to do a purchase. And it finally came down and finally got the email one day in December that says, hey, we accept your offer. And so then it started and we closed February 16th.
Unbelievable. Now, let me come back to this real quick. You jumped over some things I wanted to come back into, and that, Gannett wanted the mega market radio, and I understand. I mean, mega market, Randy, Dallas, Houston, Hot Springs Village, those kind of things. They're all just right in the same bucket, right? And Gannett is they're in the business of making everything uniform and fit in the same size. And where on earth the Village Voice was uniform and fit inside of anything? So obviously that was a struggle, I'm assuming.
Yes. And I'm just thankful that they recognized that Hot Springs Village Voice didn't fit. And it's such a wonderful paper that for myself and the staff, we have worked hard for years on this paper. We've had lots of recognition nationally even. We were in Editor and Publisher a couple of years ago as newspapers that do it right. So it just didn't fit in.
How old is the paper?
So it's 30 years old. It goes back 30 years. Actually, I believe when the village first started, there ended up being 2 papers in the village. And,
really?
Yes, because there was the La Villa. And then I believe, I'm not sure who owned the La Villa, but there was also this one with Mel Fluhart. And I believe that he ended up selling to the Richardsons. And on and so forth. So
I do remember
Village,
that now. I do remember that now.
yeah.
And
So
I think small newspapers, small town newspapers are one of the few places where there's frankly really profit to be had, because, you know, readership in the larger markets is just not staying where it is. But at the same time, the readership in smaller markets is so dedicated and devoted for that hyper local, as you would call it, Randy, the hyper local news that they're not getting anywhere else.
absolutely. And that's what our focus is on. We do not carry any state or national content. It is all 100% local for Hot Springs Village. And, you know, some even into the Garland and Saline County areas. Mm-hmm. You know, anything that affects and can benefit the Hot Springs Village residents.
Well, and I've seen that trend happening where we basically, you know, it's getting more and more local, because frankly, the people that are reading this paper, that's all they really care about. And I can't say that I blame them, you know. Well, now I've seen, and Randy, I'm going to kind of pander to the interviewee for a moment here. I know that you've made some big changes as soon as Gannett went away. And I know it's been a through the roof surprise and excitement. Tell us some of the things. I want you to explain to us and to Randy the reception you've gotten and the embrace, to be very frank about it.
Oh, it has been overwhelming. The community has really stepped up. We're still getting calls. Even today, there was a lady in here just within the past hour that they are so excited to have their local newspaper back and to have it locally owned and not being controlled by a corporate, you know, a big corporate entity. And they're just excited. We're working hard to get our local stories in, to cover events. I mean, people have been reaching out like crazy. I've got tons of notes on my wall for congratulations and what a wonderful job that we are doing. It happened so quickly when I took over the paper, which was February 16th. And I'm going to say within 2 weeks, there was a huge difference in the newspaper and the content in the paper.
Well, and Randy, just for what it's worth, Jennifer, one of the very first things you did, as I understand, was you changed the font to make it more readable, because apparently some of us in the village are over 50, apparently, and that was a factor, right?
Yes, absolutely. That was one of the big changes that we did. We changed the format of the paper. We changed the font of the paper, so it's much easier to read. We have gone through all kinds of transitions from, you know, we had to move our website, our advertising systems, our circulation systems, but I believe everything's been pretty seamless. It took a little bit of time, but everything is done now.
Sure. Well, okay. So, and to get back to our questions, why the village, and what's special about the village to you?
Okay, so as you know, so I grew up around this area. I graduated from Malvern High School, went to college in Arkadelphia, worked in newspaper all of my life. In the past few years, I have been general manager and then publisher of several newspapers in the state. Lastly, I was publisher for 7 newspapers in the state, and I was traveling all over. Hot Springs Village has just always been my home. It's kind of where my heart is. This is just kind of everything to me. So when the opportunity came for me to think about purchasing this, it was just a no-brainer. It was perfect. And, you know, I could have moved on. There's other jobs, had other job opportunities. But like I said, this is where my heart is. This community, I've been serving in it for so long and been in Hot Springs. I mean, I've been here for the past 30 years. So it just made sense.
Yeah.
This is where it is. And not one time was there ever a doubt.
Wow. Randy, what have you got, bud?
I'm just wondering, so when you get the phone call, do you want to buy it? What's your first thought?
I was just like, really? Is this happening? You know?
Did you remotely see that coming at all?
No, not at all. Not at all.
I can't buy it. I'm unemployed.
Yeah, exactly. It was just kind of crazy. You get told one day, okay, you've got 1 month, and then the next day you're like, is this something that you would be interested in? And I'm like, oh my gosh. And and I was like, okay, let me think about it. And so, because that happened on a Friday. So the following, I believe it was Tuesday, I got back with him and said, okay, yes. And, we kind of went from there.
Was that your poker face? Okay, let me think about this.
Yeah, well, we were on the phone, so they couldn't see. So I was just
That
like,
helped.
what?
That helped. What's been the biggest surprise now? I mean, going from publisher to owner.
I
mean, the business so well. I don't know that there anything threw you for a curve.
It's been super easy. What surprised me is everything that I had to do to get ready, through the process of purchasing the paper. That was something that I was not familiar with, owning a business. So there was a lot to learn, and I had really great people guiding me through it. And so it all worked out great. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Well, I'm going to tell you one of my happiest notes here is that we aren't celebrating the fact that you're a woman business owner. You're just a business owner who happens to be a woman. I love that. That's where we ought to be.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Very exciting. Very exciting.
Well, are we ready for our lightning round real quick here?
Yeah, I think it's time for the lightning round.
We want to be respectful of your time. Okay, these are going to be easy. Hiking, boating, golf, or tennis? Oh, she's having
hiking.
Hamburger or taco?
Oh, tacos.
Guitar or piano?
Piano.
Spring or fall?
Spring.
Comedy or mystery?
Comedy.
Okay, people inside Hot Springs Village are going to get this. The rest of you may not, but if you listen to the show long enough, you will. East or west?
Ooh, that's tough.
Both.
Yeah,
both.
Good answer. Good answer. Appetizer or dessert?
Oh, dessert or an appetizer.
Yeah, there you go. Dress or casual?
Dress.
There you go. Summer or winter Olympics?
Summer.
Stripes or plaids?
Plaid.
All right, these you're going to have to answer. What movie have you seen more than any other?
The Notebook.
It's
on all the time.
Okay, I'm a music nerd, so we're going to end on this one, Jennifer. Who is your favorite band or singer?
Oh gosh, actually, I love Aerosmith.
Really?
Look at her going old school.
Walk this way.
Going old school. I like it.
How absolutely delightful. And by the way, I've taken her to lunch before. It's not appetizer or dessert. She's like a bird. No wonder she's a tiny thing.
It's dessert. I'm telling you, dessert first.
Yeah, well, I think that's the right answer myself, but other people can disagree.
Well, we went to Hibachi and they didn't have dessert to speak of unless you want like a dessert sushi roll or something.
Well,
I don't know.
There you go.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do more in depth in the future, but man, I'm really thankful that you said yes to appear with us. We're just trying to shine a real bright light on Hot Springs Village, and
absolutely,
you're at the tip of the spear in that effort. As the local mass media concern, if mass media can be a proper term for Hot Springs Village, but in this case, it probably can. So, kudos.
It's been very exciting, and us being involved in the community. We're going to be hosting the Frat Forum this next week on Tuesdays and Wednesday at the Woodlands. So that's going to be a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I think, Randy, it just dawned on me, and Jennifer, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I'm going to put you on the spot here. We'd love to have you be a reoccurring so we can come check in with you and go, what's going on? Where can we go? Yeah, and I really want to hear, and I know we've talked about this too, Randy, I really want to hear your read on where the future is. Jennifer, I want to hear what you think the spin is. How about we come back to you and ask you that more in the future? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
that
listen, I think all three of us agree the future's bright, and I think there are plenty of people. Everybody that I've met, Jennifer, is the guy that does a lot of short-term rental in there to come and visit. I mean, I haven't met a jerk yet. I'm sure they're there. I see them on social media. we know they throw rocks. It's just not what we choose to do. But yeah, again, real delighted to have you as a guest. I'm going to let you wrap up, Dennis.
Well, for Hot Springs Village Inside Out, HSV, InsideOut.com. For Jennifer Allen, Randy Cantrell, thanks for joining us today, and we hope to see you next time.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a podcast where Hot Springs Village, Arkansas is the star. Please subscribe to the podcast. You can do that by visiting our website, hsvinsideout.com, and tell a friend.